following is a Comfortably Zoned Radio Network production.
We are back. New York Met Baseball 2018 opening day right around the corner. Marty's here, Marty Rose. Robert's here, Robert Cole. And I'm here, the weak link of it all, Ralph Tycho. Hey, guys.
Hi, Ralph. How you doing, Ralph?
Yeah, we're okay. This is, I was so enthused today with Conforto playing in an A game, or when I say an A game, a regular game. And did he hit a home run? Did I read that right?
Yes, he did today in the intra-squad game. Off of, I think,
he starts the season on the DL. They're not rushing him.
Right.
And look how they look. I mean, pitching staff. I jokingly set the over and under in my head. Would I say 91 or something like that? They could win 90 games, health permitting. I want you. That's a question, an open-ended question to both of you. Start with you, Robert.
I'm still going with 86 to 88 right now. I reserve the right to change that later, but I think 86 to 88.
Based on results,
correct.
Not predictions. Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. But even that, if you look back 2 months ago, before some of the signings and before the miraculous recovery of Harvey, I look at that as I don't think he had one truly lousy outing all spring. Marty?
No, I don't think so either. I mean, he's been good. He's been good. He's not the overpowering guy that he was, in the beginning. I think he's pretty much topped out 94, maybe 95, but that's it. He's not going up.
Not bad for your third starter, though.
No, not at all. No, not at all.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's been good, but these guys, the beginning of every season looks good, but that somebody's going down. It's going to happen. You don't know who it's going to be.
But is that not universal in baseball, especially nowadays with the overthrowing?
Yeah, you're right. You just hope it's not, somebody that is really, top of the line, counted on guys. And I don't like the bullpen that much, to tell you the truth. I mean, I don't like any of them. I think the bullpen's weak. I don't have that much confidence in Familia. I don't know about Ramos either. Blevins, can get lefties out. Seawald is unproven. Swarzak, this guy Rame, who just made the team. I mean, that's worrisome to me.
Okay, I understand if it were last year, it would be disastrous from that standpoint. I still think Familia will come up to form, or at least I'm hoping. But this year, you're looking to get more innings out of the starters, and guys like Gazelman and what have you can add to the bullpen. I think when Wheeler comes back, he may come back as someone who could push the envelope, forcing maybe Lugo back into the bullpen. And although I had a thought that Wheeler may never come back to the Mets.
Well, we'll see.
It
remains to be seen.
Yeah. I just don't see. He was bitter when they got Vargas. And just a guess.
He's had his chances. He's had opportunities in the spring, and he fell short.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right. So they'll fall out of disfavor with the guy who opens his mouth quicker than they would with the guy who says, "Oh, well, I'll go back down, and I'll try, and this, that, and the other thing, whatever the team needs." They like to hear stuff like that. You can't blame them when they're paying $6 million a year or whatever amount.
Right.
It's or any amount of money. Yeah, that's. Anyway, I want to know what your concerns are that you haven't mentioned. Start with Robert for the season. Things look good, but what worries you?
Well, Marty touched on one spot, and that was the bullpen. Catching every year has always been a worrisome thing. I mean, although Plawecki and Darno both have looked good this spring, I'm just waiting for Darno to get injured. It seems like it happens every year. And then we have to see, who they can bring up, either Nito or they have Jose Lobaton. Okay. Jose Reyes has been disappointing so far this year, as he was the beginning of last year. I don't even think he's hitting over 200 for the spring yet. So that's also a concern. He was expected to, fill in different spots, maybe play a little short when Rosario needed a break. So I'm a little concerned about that.
Yeah, I was hoping he'd get to go out to the outfield a little bit too. He's a good athlete, and they talked about that, but I don't think he's played.
For some reason, Flores has been the guy that they've been doing that with.
Yeah, well, do you see Flores as a middle inning, a center field defensive replacement? I was thinking of Reyes as that.
You've got Lagares and you've got Nemo. As far as a center fielder when Conforto comes back, and Conforto's the center fielder. So you have that covered. It's more of a guy really to cover the corners when Cespedes needs a break or Bruce needs a break. And right now that looks like it might be Flores.
Hey, I like that.
I think one of the reasons that that Phil Evans made the team is that he can play third base, and he can be a third catcher, and he can also play some right field. So I think that's probably the reason. Besides, he did have a good spring hitting wise. I'll have to say that. But for a guy that's been a career minor leaguer, he can play multiple positions. So that's a help too.
Absolutely. You want to talk opening days from the past a little bit? I've got 3 in my head that stand out from early Metdom. I know Marty was a part of it, probably all 3. Did we go to the 63 opening day together as well when Charlie Neal?
Don't think so. I don't think so.
Well, I did, and first pitch of the game, ground ball to third. Charlie Neal playing third in 63. He either boots it or throws it away. So that was 63 was much worse in my head than 62. 62 you could almost understand. It was cute. I didn't like 63 very much. They lost almost as many games, and I missed winning. You put it that way.
Yeah, the 62 team was warm and cuddly. The 63 team was not.
Absolutely. They made what I thought was a horrible trade as it turned out, especially trading Bob Miller who was a pretty good, had a pretty good career with a number of teams, including the Dodgers, who they traded him to for Harkness and Burright. And that was it Burright?
Yes, Larry Burright and Tim Harkness.
The shorts, yeah, the infielder. And Tim Harkness sucked, and Burright was just as bad, and consequently the whole team sucked. And there was the year Snyder came in, and he didn't help them, and it was terrible. But
Roger Craig had his long losing streak.
Right. They changed his number in the middle of the yes, I remember a famous picture of Casey Point with a shit-eating grin on his face, like he really hated the losing as much as fans did by that point. And he's pointing to the back of his uniform like that's going to make a difference. Change his uniform number. And he was a pretty good pitcher.
Roger Craig? Oh, yes, he was.
Yeah, absolutely. Gave them very, very good innings, given it all. And thinking about it, Alvin Jackson was pretty decent. And Bob
Jay Hook was decent also, although he pitched in a lot of bad luck.
Right. And he wasn't as decent as those other two guys. But by the same token, how could you play with... I mean, every day was a disaster defensively. Rod Keneal was horrible at all those positions. He was not only a jack of all trades and a master of none, he was horrible defensively. And Throneberry comes in and all that. So, yeah, it was disastrous, but there's nothing to laugh at in '63. I wasn't amused at all. So, but
no.
What was your memories of opening day, Robert?
Well, I remember the very first one, '62. They opened on the road in St. Louis. First night they got rained out, and a bunch of the Mets got stuck in the elevator. And then they finally got started the following night, and that was very exciting. And in fact, you're starting to listen to that game, right, Ralph?
I am indeed. I've listened to most of it, as a matter of fact. That's it's the 9-0 one. Am I correct?
No. It was 9-6, I believe.
Oh, okay. It had been 9-0.
Because Gil Hodges hit the very first home run in Mets history. Charlie Neal hit a home run. For some reason, Casey took Roger Craig out after, I think, 3 innings, which never made any sense to me then, and it still doesn't, but nevertheless, he did it. But that's a memory that sticks out, was the very first day. And I also was at the very first Mets home game that year, Friday afternoon, cold and rainy. In fact, I don't know if you read about it on the website, but I wrote a little story about that where I had asked my parents to let me stay home so I could watch the very first Met home game. They said, no, I had to go to school. And then later in the morning, my mom came, picked me up, and I said, where are we going? She said, well, your father's going to meet you at Penn Station and take you to the Met game. So I was happy, shocked, and we went to the Met game. And the thing I remember about that was we were all waiting to cheer when Gil Hodges' name was announced. And Gil got scratched at the last minute, and Jim Marshall was announced as the first baseman, and we just booed the bejesus out of that poor guy, and he had no idea why he was being booed.
Jim Rufus Marshall.
Yeah.
That was his name. Later went on to manage, as a matter of fact. He came from that string of somebody's protege. I think he played under Leo DeRocher, and he was part of that group of folks that must have been 15 future managers, Herman Franks and Alvin Dark and everybody. So, yeah, Jim Marshall. That if you just say that name and you just try to think, well, what kind of a year is it going to be? Jim Marshall's your first baseman, not Gil Hodges. That brother. And so it played out.
Yes, it did.
But Gus Bell was a starter in that game. If you think of it, Gene Woodling, Richie Ashburn,
Woodling
such high hopes.
Yeah, Woodling came later. It was
Hodges
at first, Neal at second, Mantilla
Frank
shortstop,
Thomas maybe in left,
Zimmer third, Frank Thomas in left, Ashburn in center, and Gus Bell in right. And Hobie Landreth was the catcher.
Yes. Casey said, without a catcher, when they drafted him, number 1, without a catcher, you'll have a lot of pass balls.
And he was right.
Yes. Give him credit. He was very right. And without him, they never possibly could have sold the team to the fans under any circumstances. Losing wouldn't have been anything without him. They would have gone nuts. So what a tremendous PR move. And oddly enough, Weiss and Stengel, you can trace back the 69 team, some of the success that Stengel had with guys like Swoboda, for instance, who learned an awful lot from Stengel, and guys getting called up like early guys. I don't think Tug McGraw pitched under Stengel, but there are a few other guys that went on to the linkage, and Weiss set the tone in terms of drafting a lot of these guys and signing a lot of these guys. So, as it turned out, in 7 years, they're champions. Something went right, besides a lot of losing early on.
Well, when they started, they had virtually nothing. There was no minor league set up or anything, and very hard to develop players. So to do it in 7 years back in that time frame was quite amazing.
Absolutely. Hey, Marty, your opening day recollections that I may not even know about.
Yeah, something that I'm not great at is remembering those kind of things. But did they have an opening game against Montreal when Montreal first came into the league?
Yes, 1969.
Wasn't there a crazy game? Was it like 11-10 or?
Yes, Montreal won that game.
Yeah,
11-10.
I remember because I was so upset at how they could lose to an expansion team at that point.
Yeah, that was the year they went and won it all.
That's right. With Montreal's first baseman, Don Clendenin, would be acquired by them later in the year.
Yep.
And what a key he was.
Wow.
Hey, did we mention the passing of the glider last week?
Yes, I believe we did.
I think we did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Continue then to rest in peace.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure we got that covered. We do have a rich history on a lot, and he was part of it. So many Mets struggling now, health-wise. Rusty Staub, obviously.
I heard Staub's doing better.
He is? Okay.
I heard that yesterday when I was watching the game. Was SNY had the game on, and Keith Hernandez said he had seen him like in the last couple of days, and he was doing much better than he had been before. So
that's good.
that's very
that sounded great. But Hojo took it a line drive in the face the other day.
Yes,
I know, sitting on the bench, not paying attention.
It was like apparently, leaning up on the railing in front of the dugout.
Right.
And he didn't have time to get out of the way. But he said he was doing a lot better also. A couple of small facial bones that were broken, but nothing like that serious. So that could have been a disaster.
Oh, heck
yeah. But I don't know. You still got Cranepool and Harrelson, I guess, aren't doing all that great, to my knowledge.
Yeah.
Well, from what I've heard about Harrelson is he's coping with it. He's still staying in touch. He's a part owner of the Long Island Ducks, the independent team, and he's still staying involved with them. And he came out to let people know his condition because he wanted to get help for other people, who are in the stages of Alzheimer's and that type of thing.
Yeah, that's good.
So he's in the very early stages, in other words.
Yes, the stages where when he was in his car, he forgot where he lived, that kind of thing.
Right.
Oh, boy.
Well, let's wait. He's got a rocky journey ahead of him, of course, but what a courageous guy to think in terms of humanity as opposed to, hey, I really don't want people seeing me this way or whatever.
And they said that's exactly why he did it. He could have stayed private, kept it private, but he wanted to bring attention to it so that, something could possibly be done about it.
Nice.
Yeah, very good.
Nice. Well, it's good. Heroes today, and they've always had clay feet, it seems. So when you get a guy that you root for because right away he's an underachiever, being 5'8" and 145 pounds or whatever he was, he's an overachiever, I meant. He was easy to root for. So when you're loving a guy for the right reasons and it turns out he's really the right guy to root for, that's heartwarming because, so many times. Rusty Staub, too. I don't know much about Hojo. I do know about Cranepool. He's been suffering. Rusty Staub, I'm saying, is a great guy. Cranepool has advanced stages of diabetes, and he's losing a part of his leg, his foot, and it's a horrible disease as every.
Well, I'm reading a story right now, Ralph, from 2 days ago in the Newsday, and Cranepool said, we're all on the injured reserves, meaning him, Staub, and Harrelson, but we're all getting better than we were. And that's from Cranepool himself, so.
Good.
Nice.
Good. Very good.
Warms the cockles. Okay, guys, we got opening day coming up. I'm delighted that we're doing this. We're really finding our rhythm, and if the audience hasn't picked up on it, we are long-term fans. Way back before they were formed. We can go back to Branch Rickey in the Continental League and thinking ahead of the ramifications of that. And so we're with them, win, lose, or draw. We are unable to play out our options as fans. Again, we got the rules, and that's the way it goes. So we're going to be around. Stick with them, win, lose, or draw. 90's a little high. You're right, Mert. I'm a Pollyanna
Yeah.
But
well, I hope
I'll go
we're
86.
awarding
I'll
the,
agree with
trophy.
you, Robert.
Sir?
Robert, I was going to ask you that 86 doesn't seem too out of line, and if I revise my prediction to say 86 to say 87, that's not all that that could be expected. Health has to be in our favor.
Yeah, I think that's very reachable. I mean, if everybody's having the years we hope they're having, 90 is reachable. But I think anywhere from 86 to 88 is certainly doable.
Well, that's again what makes a horse race. You can't do it on paper, and that's why these are exciting moments. Opening day, starting a new book with new chapters. It's kind of cool. Mert.
Yeah, I was going to say that, if 4 out of the 5 starters can last the whole year, we'll be in good shape. But they never have yet. So, I mean, it remains to be seen.
You could, the optimist says, we're due.
Yeah, we're due. You're right. You're right. Maybe, hopefully with the change in the manager and the pitching coach, you actually got really 2 pitching coaches, come to think of it,
Right.
Hopefully that helps. Yes, right, exactly.
And Cespedes keeping hydrated, if that's what it takes to keep him from pulling a muscle or pulling hamstrings all the time.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it have been something? How out of the ordinary would have it been for the previous training staff to say, you guys got to drink a little liquid? That's been going on for a long time. So, but now they've identified it, and I understand things work a little slowly sometimes in Metsville hierarchy and management. And I will again, the way it's constructed now, you got to give Sandy a lot of credit along the way. Injuries have to play in our favor for a change, but he's made it interesting for the 4th year in a row. So I'm good with that. Opening day pitcher Thor.
Yes. Yes. And
Okay.
DeGrom game 2, Matt's game 3.
Wow. And then
Harvey will open the series against the Phillies.
Any idea what the weather's going to be up there?
They had said middle 50s and sunny. So that was the last I heard. It was a day or 2 ago. I don't know if it's changed, but, you can't hope for anything better than that on March 29th.
Oh, yeah. 50s and sunny at that time of the year. Yeah, that's fine.
We'll take it.
Oh, yeah.
All right, guys, here's to them. My little toast as we speak. Thank you, gentlemen. We'll be back next week. New York Met baseball, past, present, and future. Thank you again. Adios, everybody.
Have a good night.